Cartier Style et Luxe is one of the world's most prestigious automobile design competitions, and this year brings together another collection of beautifully designed cars and a distinguished panel of judges, many of whom have been chosen because of their non-automobile credentials. The cars are grouped on the Cartier lawn according to a number of themes, and there's even a category specially dedicated to cars that are featured in the films of James Bond. The public have been viewing the cars for 3 days, and on the last day it's the judges' turn as they roam the displays before returning to their judging tent where they decide on the winner. What skills do you think you're going to be able to bring to judging these cars?
I think just in terms of style, I mean, that's what I'll be looking at. It's not a question of speed or shape. I just think I love stylish cars, classic cars, smooth lines, just something a little bit different, a little bit quirky, something out of the blue that take my fancy.
Well, we've been sort of asked to look for the one you want to take away, which I suppose is beauty, desirability, and for me, an amount of practicality. You know, not a lot of point for me in having a car that you can't drive around, and they're sort of stunning cars here, and all very desirable.
What is design for you? Is it form over function, function over form?
I don't know. I mean, that's trickier, I think, with cars, isn't it? I mean, I think for the way we approach design at Apple, it's inseparable. So something that just doesn't work, somehow you can't. You know, it doesn't matter how it's resolved physically and formally. If it doesn't work, it is inherently ugly. But I think these cars will work, so it's slightly more complex, I think.
So as a judge then, what are you going to be looking for in the cars?
As far as the older ones are concerned, it's actually the originality more than the restoration. There was a couple out there that have been really fantastically restored, including the Ralph Lauren one. That was fantastic. But there's some other ones that are equally as nice, but they've not been restored, so they're totally original. The Mercedes was absolutely a delight to be talked through by the guy that was presenting it. It was just a unique experience to go through all the original bits and the great design and features of its time.
And the fabulous Mercedes-Benz SSK Trossi Roadster, belonging to fashion designer and style guru Ralph Lauren, is the overall winner of the 2008 Cartier Style et Luxe. And just across the Cartier lawn, Steve's with some touring car legends.
Andy Rouse, we're here celebrating 50 years of the British Touring Car Championship, and there is a great deal for the championship to celebrate, isn't there?
There is, yeah. There's a whole spectrum of cars that have raced in the championship, going right back to Jack Sears to the present day. And of course, you know, there's all the cars in between, the great cars like the Sierra Cosworth, and then the super touring car era as well, which was probably the high point of the whole championship, when there was 6 or 7 car manufacturers seriously competing for the British Touring Car Championship, and there was professional drivers on the grid front to back. Those were the greatest days, without a doubt. But for me personally, I think the RS 500 years were the best, because the RS 500 was such a great car, and as an engineer, it was something that you know, we had a great time with, building lots of cars, sending them all over the world, and you know, that was the high point of my career, I think.
Jack Sears, the original British Touring Car Champion, and then champion again in this, which caused a bit of a stir in the championship, didn't it?
Well, it certainly did, Steve. It's an amazing car. It's a genuine NASCAR racing saloon car, which the John Wilmot Racing Team bought and asked me to drive in 1963. Nobody knew quite how it would go. They were all impressed with its size. It handled better than everybody thought. It stopped better, and it had terrific performance. And it beat the Jaguars first time out at Silverstone, and it never looked back. It kept beating the Jaguars, and that was the end of Jaguar domination in the British Touring Car Championship.
We talk so much about the modern touring car era and the super touring car era, but here's a superstar from the early 60s. Well, the Mini always punched its weight, and punched way above its weight. And what was it that appealed to you, or what made it such a good touring car?
I don't know, because Isoganus, or Sir Isoganus, he built a family car for picnics and being economical and so on. Of course, but then John Cooper got hold of it and made it into a racing car. And then, of course, Dunlops had to make these rubber for these tiny wheels, and that's where it all started, really. It's John Cooper's fault, totally. He just happened to see one and think, well, we'll make a racing car out of this, and he did.
Williams Auction has been at Goodwood since the Festival of Speed began, and here are just 3 of the fabulous cars on sale today. The English Racing Automobiles R1A was the first ERA that was ever built in 1934. Now, there were only 17 made, but they were hugely successful through the 30s and 40s. But by the mid-50s, you could pick one up for around £500. But today's auction estimate is £500,000. And here's another car from the 30s, the stunningly beautiful Bugatti Type 57 Atalanta Coupe from Jean Bugatti, who clearly inherited his father Ettore Bugatti's genes for creating beautiful motor cars. Now, this was a real supercar of its day, and today's auction estimate is £400,000. And finally, the Jaguar D-Type. Now, these cars were built to race, and a D-Type actually won them all 3 times, once in the hands of Mike Hawthorne. Now, this was the first production D-Type sold, and when it was in 1955, would have sold for around £4,000. But in today's money, you're looking at over £2 million. And the D-Type broke the world record for a Jaguar, selling for £2,201,500.
The lineup of cars behind me have taken part in just about every great championship in the sport. Champ Car, Can-Am, the Indy 500, Le Mans, Formula One. And the unique thing is that they're all built by the same manufacturer who started building racing cars some 50 years ago. That company, of course, is Lola, and this weekend at Goodwood they brought together a collection of former drivers and friends to celebrate 50 years of a truly great company.
Well, my dad ran a team, and I think the first car was a Lola. He also raced with Lola in '66, won Indianapolis, and there's been a lot. We used to have a horse called Lola as well, so there's quite a lot of Lola in our life, and I raced for Lola in Formula 3000 as well.
My father drove this car in Indianapolis in '66, I think it was leading by 2 laps, so 8 laps ago. And it didn't finish, but so it was. I wanted to drive it up here.
It's not just former racing legends and their sons that were influenced by Lola. Current Formula One drivers have happy memories too.
Yeah, huge success with that particular car. Obviously, we won 3 straight championships with it, and the history with Lola started back in 2000 when I started Formula 3000. And yeah, a lot of very good memories. Obviously, great to be here.